We've lined up the top stars from Hollywood and from all over the world to entertain you on a giant screen with a few colorful motion pictures you've been hearing about and reading
It's
about.
showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
We're delighted to have you with us. They're Drive-in Theater.
You'll find something to please you to add to your evening's enjoyment.
Is pleased to bring you our feature presentation.
What's up, everybody? How's it going? It's October. It's October 4th. 2021. Welcome to the Drive-in Speakerbox, your place for movie stuff. It's what we do here every week. I'm your host, Bo, the boom operator.
I'm Slick Doggy, the grip.
And we've got a fun show for you tonight. I mean, if you're tuned into the live stream, if you're watching us at home over on Twitch or YouTube, but not Facebook because Facebook is down.
Yeah, I got hacked real hard. No Instagram, no WhatsApp, no Facebook.
No nothing. Just can't even do nothing. So yeah, we're here on those other mediums for you. So yeah, what a perfect time to be on Twitch, guys, because Twitch is still here. But if you're watching the live stream, we have started to spookify the set just a little bit here, and that will only increase as we get close to October. So, yeah, there you go. Let's see. Shout-outs already in order. Johnny Dalton saying, hey, what's going on, Johnny? Got Vince over on Twitch. What's going on? Having some good, stable internet there, he says. And throwing up some scared, spooky emotes there in the chat. But yeah, this week... yeah, we're going to be talking to you about movies. I got a chance to go see Venom: Let There Be Carnage. Did you see anything this
I
week?
watched Addams Family too. Yeah.
All right. Well, I didn't know, or I'd have put it in the title. Dadgum. So yeah, we're gonna get that bonus content. So we got to see both movies that came out in theaters this past weekend. We're gonna be talking to you about them later in the show. So stick around for that. But yeah, a lot of news going on this week. I mean, other than just internet downages, which has got everybody all up in arms and scared of the world. Yeah, one of the funniest things that happened on the internet to me. Anyway, I mean, it didn't happen to me, but it happened. It's the funniest thing to me is the Seinfeld debacle. Have you been reading about this?
No, does it happen to do with them being on Comedy Central or something? Or?
No. So Netflix made a deal. Yeah. I mean, it was a huge historic deal. Everybody was super excited about, they're finally Seinfeld coming to a streaming service. And so Netflix, in their infinite wisdom, cropped the aspect ratio.
I've seen that, yeah.
Yeah, and
where you can't see the pothole in the infamous pothole.
Pothole gang. If you want to talk about shrinkage, this is some pretty bad shrinkage. It's not good. And this is something that for over a decade here on the Drive-in Speakerbox, I have been trying my hardest to get people to understand aspect ratios and why they are important. Because when I went and saw Venom today, I actually meant to tweet AMC at AMC. If you guys are watching, which I know you're not, the curtaining was off, and it's like, guys,
always with the masking.
Come on.
Their masking is so terrible all the time.
You got to get your masking right, and make sure that people see the movie without GURPS. And it was super. It's frustrating. If you're listening to the podcast, you didn't see all the hand motions, but yeah, Seinfeld. I mean, this is aspect ratio is important. Pan and scan. Pan and scan had its place because it formatted things to a TV, but it's called pan and scan for a reason. And that was, say, for example, if there was a pothole joke where you needed to see the pothole, they would pan or scan to go get to that joke so that you didn't miss any of that intent. It wasn't just just crop it. And, those things are formatted to fit your TV, not just going, cut it out. and Seinfeld is experiencing some of that. They just crapped it. Whatever, just crap it. Who's gonna know?
Just chop it right off, man.
Everybody noticed. I thought that was pretty funny. McLean over there on YouTube, is Facebook down really a bad thing? Honestly, today's been kind of nice not having Facebook. It's been an interesting day. I haven't really messed with it. I missed it at all.
Yeah, I didn't know it was down for a long time. It was just like the same stuff's been on top for hours and hours.
Yeah.
Hey, while we're talking about Netflix, one thing that we skipped, or two things we skipped last week, we didn't get to talk about, but it's important, worth noting. One of the trailers we didn't get to mention was the Sandman trailer.
Yes.
For Neil Gaiman's Sandman.
Which, if you're not listening to the audiobook on Audible, probably the coolest thing that Audible's done in a while. So get caught up on Sandman on Audible.
Finding the Yoshitaka Amano artwork for Sandman is always cool.
Always
too.
awesome.
So they got that.
He did Castlevania as well, didn't he?
He did, and he did Final Fantasy. Mm-hmm. Yep, and Vampire Hunter D.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's my
Yoshitaka
hand.
Amano is the coolest.
Yeah.
But also, last week in Netflix news, they acquired the rights to everything Roald Dahl. And we didn't get to talk about that.
So here's an interesting thing, though. Roald Dahl, in modern day cancel culture, does not age well.
Yeah, but you can always expect another Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Well, everybody's like, you should never let your child watch The Witches. And it's like, no, you should.
They already remade it for HBO.
You should only make your child watch The Witches. It's
not
terrifying.
the new one.
No, not the new one, the old one. But some people are like, oh, cancel him. He's a piece of shit. And it's like, well, probably. But, if you go back if you go back far enough, everybody that you like is probably a piece of shit. Everybody that's like famous or rich or made some cool art, it's probably a piece of shit.
Yeah, if you want to know fun things about Roald Dahl and J.R.R. Tolkien and Ian Fleming and all that, there's a drunk history about them and how their jobs in the aid of the British Empire during World War II was to go around and be seductive dudes, So yeah, there's some cool history about Roald Dahl and J.R.R. Tolkien and Ian Fleming and all these guys that did all them books way back when. But new Netflix news for this week. You see that they have purchased Night School Studios, the video game studio responsible for Oxenfree, and they are planning on...
As in Ollie Ollie?
Not really.
No.
But they are going to plan on making video games a part of Netflix as well, also at no extra cost to your Netflix subscription, and they've already started testing their mobile game platform in Poland. So they have a test... out to see how that works, and they've purchased an entire game studio with the aim being that they will make games of their own properties already. So anything that they have that's a Netflix original property, they're going to make video games for themselves, in-house gaming, and then if there is a game that's successful enough, they'll turn it into a TV series. So by having their own video games, they can make movies about games and games about movies, etc., and have a whole big Netflix, everything.
Knox over here on Twitch coming in saying, that's a lie. They're going to hike it after they test it.
Oh, yeah. No, for sure. I mean, but it'll be no additional cost to get the video games. It's just you're paying to have those games whether you want them or not is the thing, because there's only going to be the one way to pay for Netflix. But
all your money, all your base belong to us.
For not video games and things that are definitely included in your Netflix price. Tomorrow, new Chappelle stand-up special comes out on Netflix.
Yeah,
so be ready for that tomorrow. All the Chappelle specials so far have been pretty good.
Because he's a funny dude.
He's a funny dude. And you're talking about cancel culture.
Because F him. That's
he's
why.
He's surviving it. Yeah, he's doing a good job. Getting away with it.
But speaking of effing them, I don't know if you've heard this news. I mean, this is very important to me because I'm an IATSE member. But if you are an IATSE member, I don't know if anybody, maybe McLean in the chat. I don't know if he's a IATSE or yet. But anyway, IATSE is it's a union. Basically, it's the International Association of Theatrical Stage Employees, the IATSE. A lot of these members are, the Union of Film and Television Workers who are not directors, actors, writers, because you have the Screenwriters Guild, you have SAG, you've got all that kind of stuff. But for the rest of us out there and schlepping around the C stands and the sandbags and the stingers and the 10Ks and the audio bags and the boomsticks and all the jazz, we're IATSE, man. And it allows you to get insurance. It allows you to, get fair wages and all this kind of stuff. But in the news, why it matters to you guys at home that aren't IATSE members is they are threatening a strike right now. And what does that mean for you, the viewers? It means, well, no more movies. It means no more TV shows.
The people that make the movies.
And, and what they're going on strike, and why I mention this is because there has been an update. They're actually going to meet tomorrow. They're going back to the negotiation table tomorrow because the union had a historic vote in favor of a strike. So, a lot of people talk about strike and it's just like, okay, this particular group is like, oh, we're striking on this set, and, maybe some local union member is like, oh, yeah, sure. This is like the IATSE, like the voting table is like, yeah, okay, let's do this thing. And it's got Hollywood a little bit nervous because, they're not really even asking for all that much. What a lot of people don't know about the film industry, and hopefully one of the reasons you tune into the show to get a little bit of that behind the curtains information, is working on sets hard. It is hard, long, grueling work. You're talking 15, sometimes 16, sometimes 17-hour days. The FU Fridays, which I'm censoring myself here. You don't get lunch breaks are often taken away from you. You'll get that everyone's like, oh, you'll get grace meal and blah blah blah, and sometimes you just don't. And an FU Friday is when they go over so far on a Friday if you get like a Saturday off, but they work you till like 4 or 5 a.m. on that Friday night, so that you're basically, you lose your Saturday because you're just sleeping, so the next day you're just you got to wake right back up and come to work, so you don't get any weekends. And so what they're on strike for is they're trying to get things like, maybe a 12-hour max workday or less, preferably, or actually having weekends, or actually paying more than a day rate, because that's the problem with day rates, is that day can go from 8 hours to 16 real fast.
Yeah, so one day you work a couple hours, and then one day you work all of
18,
the hours,
and you get the same day rate. And they're and in some ways that works in your advantage. I mean, I know my day rate on sometimes I'll work like a Walmart commercial or something like that, and my shoot's over in like 2 hours, and I'm like, oh, hey, sick, and I got paid for the whole day. But those 16, 17-hour days, sometimes the math doesn't add up, especially when you're working on movies. And another huge part of this deal, stop me if I'm boring you, but is introducing new media, which is streaming. And because the theater deals, like we've talked about a lot lately, because of the whole ScarJo situation, is the whole new media deal that was struck a while back just didn't really involve what's happening right now with new media and streaming, because streaming was kind of the underdog for a long time when a lot of these initial deals were struck, and now it's the end all be all, and they've kind of got it to where they don't have to pay anybody squat to work on these streaming deals. But now that streaming's everything, they're like, oh, maybe we need to renegotiate this, because that's where all the work is now, not like just a little bit here and a little bit there. So yeah, it's really interesting to see if you guys are interested in following this. IATSE, IATSE, IATSE is the acronym. They're going to meet tomorrow, again, going back to the negotiation table. Very interesting stuff, very important for the film industry. It could affect the things that you like. It could affect seasons getting canceled. It could affect sequels getting greenlit. It's big news and pretty interesting stuff. So there you go. That's all I had to say about that.
Well, one thing you said there, industry changes and the Scarlett Johansson Disney thing, you see that was settled?
Mm-hmm.
They settled that after 2 months of very public. Yeah. And when they settled this, after Disney was like, well, she's an idiot and she clearly needs to learn what her deals are. And she's like, hey, this wasn't part of the deal. And they said, well, actually, it's in black and white on the paper and back and forth and yada, yada. They finally decided to settle. And at the end of it, what they said was, we've come to a mutual agreement and conclusion, and we plan on working on several projects together in the future, etc.
Money.
Yeah, they both said that.
Money.
But it's like, what projects are you going to work on? Black Widow's dead. They killed her off in 2 movies.
Yeah, well, that's
yeah.
all I got to say about that.
So-
Multiverses, infinite Earths, like all the, I mean, spoiler alert here for people that are waiting for my Venom review later. The end credit scene definitely sets up like more multiverse shenanigans with the Spider-Man movie, where they're like, well, Doctor Strange did some magic and Thanos did some magic and everybody's just doing whatever, so nothing means nothing and we can introduce anything at any time because, magic. And yeah.
Good luck recapturing the magic now that you don't have any of your big boys except for Hemsworth. But whatever. Hey, you know what? Talking about things that are a little magical and out of this world. Today is the anniversary of the launch of Sputnik, which started the space race.
Was he that guy in Salute Your Shorts?
Yeah,
That was
it.
Budnick.
No, started the space race, everything like that. But also, this week, they plan to launch the Russian director and actor into space to go to the space station, beating NASA and Tom Cruise to the punch to film a movie in space.
In space.
So when they launch, I think it's on Thursday, they're going up there. It's a director and actress that the Russian public or government, government
lights,
decided
camera,
on.
thrusters.
And they're filming a movie called Challenge, and it's about a doctor who has to be flown to the International Space Station to rescue a cosmonaut's life and everything like that. So
To rescue Jeff Bezos because
Yeah,
he didn't
well,
know how to
so-
fly a rocket.
get into that in a second. They're going to film it over a course of 10 days and then fly back. And when they do, there's actually a cosmonaut and an astronaut that are having to remain on the space station longer than planned because their seats have been given up on the Soyuz rocket that's going to bring everyone back to Earth, the actors and the director and one of the cosmonauts that's on the space station right now. And it's going to make it where the American astronaut will beat Mark Watney's, or not Mark Watney, that's the Martian. Oh crap, I can't remember his name, and I left my good notes. The astronaut that had the record for longest American in space, he'll beat it because of this movie. But unfortunately, Russia beat us to the space station to film movies. So with that though, guess who is going to space? Thanks to Jeff Bezos. Captain Kirk himself, Will Shatner.
My gosh, no.
Yeah, he's going into
Ultimate shark jumping.
He's going into space this week as well as part of a Blue Origin flight.
Okay, so, I mean, here we go. Just to put this in
He'll be the oldest person to have ever been in space ever at the age of 90.
Think about this, though, for like just a second. The fact that we as a civilization, if you go back to when William Shatner was playing Captain Kirk on a crappy sound stage with like cardboard doors that were going back and forth, and then if one of us were to come back from the future and go, William Shatner, one day you will traverse the stars in real life. They'd be like, whatever, dude. Get this guy off set.
Traversing the stars, he's going to the edge of the
Yeah, but it's space.
He is going to space.
He's going to space, dude.
Pretty cool.
How insane is that?
Well, and what's rad is, all of that confirmed on the day. So today's the anniversary of Sputnik, 1957. 10 years later, Star Trek debuted, and now, however many years later, 50 some odd years later, Captain Kirk is going to be in space.
It's crazy.
That is so friggin' cool. But you know what? Talking about 90-year-old dudes doing crazy things, your favorite boy, Clint Eastwood, was awarded today $6.1 million.
A CBD lawsuit, wasn't it?
Over Lithuania's CBD companies using his likeness and fake interviews. So they posted pictures of him talking on the Tonight Show, and then they released the manuscript of the show, and they're like, "Oh,
sometimes you gotta ask yourself one question.
this is like how
Do
it
you
was.
get high?
This is how it
Do
was
you punk?
transcribed." Yeah, and it was to sell CBD. And so Clint Eastwood and the company that owns and protects his likeness and image were awarded $6.1 million, but were not given awards for damages because their stand was Clint Eastwood doesn't support the smoking of reefer-related products.
That we know of.
Yeah. Publicly, at least. But, the point is they are the three companies have all been barred from any use of his name or likeness permanently for the rest of forever. They can't even use the words Clint Eastwood, or they're getting sued super hard.
Speaking of celebrities in other countries' commercials, like you've watched all the like super cuts of Arnold Schwarzenegger Japanese commercials.
I'm glad you brought up Schwarzenegger because I have news about that too. That's funny.
Daijo Pui, which is like one of my favorites.
The Schwarzenegger Japanese commercials are crazy.
So good. Oh, before we get too far away from it, Mark Landry over on YouTube said, "I think some of Gene Roddenberry's ashes are in space. Maybe we can leave Shatner up there. He may die in the flight, so who knows? Who knows?"
But Captain Kirk, he's just a.
But
real
speaking of
old
90-year-old
dude that likes.
Speaking of 90-year-old Russians, did you guys see the new ad campaign? Aviation Gin, of course, owned by Ryan Reynolds, and sometimes he's hilarious. But they got Yakov Smirnoff in a new Aviation Gin commercial, and he's just like, contrary to popular belief, I don't like vodka, and he's like, I'm more of a gin man, and so they're like, and so we got Yakov Smirnoff to legally change his name from Yakov Smirnoff to Yakov Aviation American Gin.
That's pretty good. I'll have to look that up.
It's a pretty funny spot, and Yakov is a hilarious dude. And
I never got to see him when he was in
Branson. I
always wanted to, and my family's like, we're not doing that. We're not going to Yakov.
Well, the crazy thing about Yakov is
watch the hell out of Shoji Tabuchi, though. I'll tell you that.
Well, he can play a fiddle. But comedians and entertainers love Yakov. Apparently, he's just a super cool, fun, smart dude.
Yeah, I've never heard anything bad about him.
Anyway,
but talking about Schwarzenegger, guess what is available at a Walmart near you?
I don't know.
Turbo Man.
Like the doll?
Yeah, Turbo Man.
Like a big Turbo Man?
Yeah, just like they released when the movie came out, and I have one. My brother and I both had a Turbo Man. I now have a Turbo Man again, this time mint in the box. I was going to bring it today, but it's more of a Christmas thing, so I was holding off on it.
Yeah, we got Halloween stuff up.
Oh, yeah.
Not Turbo Man.
But it's sick. It's a Funko reproduction. It's the same.
I remember when the big ones came out.
It's it.
Okay.
It talks. It has everything. It's the jetpack. It has the boomerang. The back of the box is like the real toys. It has advertisements for Booster and the bad guys and all of the things. It's Turbo Man. It's Turbo Time.
Turbo Time.
Yeah, dude, it's the coolest. I have a new one.
I'm
daddy's so Turbo proud Man. Of it. Don't buy it on eBay. They want like $75 for it. Go to Wally World. It's half of that or less.
It's $65.
It's $35. But I had to have it. So, yeah, there you go. That's it. You know what? Since we're talking about old dudes, Dick Wolf back at it again.
What?
Yeah. Law and Order, the original Law and Order, coming back after 11 years off of TV for season 21 to join SVU on its 23rd season and
all these old
organized
dudes,
crime on its second
old
season.
Dudes returning to the shows. Larry David's doing another season of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah.
I think season 11 it's up to now.
Yeah.
I guess because the internet memes have just gotten so strong with the and ending everything with the Curb Your Enthusiasm theme. Those are actually really good memes.
Maybe they'll have an episode about Netflix cropping Seinfeld.
They should. Now, so John Dalton never watched an episode. It's a pretty funny show.
The early seasons, like a lot of old HBO before they really revamped how they were doing things, are a little slower, slow burn comedy stuff, but it's pretty good. But
good.
as
uncomfortable
as it should be, as it goes on, it's just Larry David yelling at things, which is very entertaining.
But anyway, before we get too out of time, because we do have 2 movies to review tonight, and we got to move on and talk about what is coming out in theaters this week, because it is that time of the show where we tell you what's coming, and I stumped my toe on the table. We tell you what's coming out in theaters this week because there is a big movie, a huge movie, coming out this weekend A lot of people been waiting for it. You know it. I know it. We all know it. No Time to Die.
Already setting big time overseas records for pandemic.
We got 007 back on the screen. I was watching these trailers. I hate the trailer of it because whoever did the audio mix on it, it's garbage. Every theater I've seen it in, it's just like muffled and sounds like crap. But, man, it just looks like a good movie. I want to say they shot that whole thing on Panavision Primes because it just looks so juicy. I don't know. Like, there's a thing about certain lenses that you can see where there's, and a lot of it's shot in IMAX. Like, I'm going to go out and say it. I'm not a humongous Bond fan. I know. Just see your eyes widening up like that.
Have you ever seen any of the Connery
I've seen
Bonds?
all of them. I enjoy Bond. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy Bond. But I actually am kind of looking forward to this movie more than I thought I would because I think it's big budget adventure action because like we get plenty of action. We've got the Fast and the Furious stuff, and I know you love that, but it's just action for action's sake. Like this is the good adventure action without a lot of Jungle Cruise CGI monster nonsense and comedy. Like I need a good action adventure movie, light on comedy. High on octane.
Friggin' Mission Impossible keeps getting postponed too. That's what I need. Man, you know what? I've only liked Casino Royale out of the Daniel Craig Bonds.
That's the one I hate the most because it's just
he gets his nutsack whacked on.
No, not because of whacking off people's nutsacks. It's because
knotted rope, dude. Your boy, what's his face? The guy.
Mads is the only good part about that movie.
The nonsense.
No, it's just because it was like watching a boring episode of Texas Hold'em on ESPN.
They're all boring, though. Is the thing. They're all so boring. I hope this one's not like the one with Javier Bardem and his weird
where his face falls out of his face.
Yeah, and the whole thing of them trying to make Christoph Waltz like the golden the gold
Christoph Waltz I think
guy.
is in this one again.
He is in the cage because he's James Bond's brother or something, and he's also Goldfinger. It's origin of Goldfinger. It's dumb. I don't like it. They're all dumb.
Well, I'm excited about this one.
Yeah, I hope it's good.
Dina says she hasn't seen a Bond movie since Pierce Brosnan. Since what, GoldenEye? Yeah.
Oh, well, this is the last Daniel Craig, so once it comes out, you can just marathon all the Daniel Craig movies.
There you go.
Maybe they'll be better as if you watch them all together because it was like one of the first time from.
Well, in this,
they're all sequels. These are actually all sequels to each other, which is weird.
The Daniel Craig Bond. That's one of the reasons I like Daniel Craig Bond is because it's developing the story of Bond over multiple films and not just like, well, here I am again doing a thing with no context. I'm saving the world again with no context. And these all kind of tie in together with what happens in the other ones. And it's pretty good.
It's a series instead of an anthology.
Yeah. Bottle Rocket says Dune tickets went on sale today, by the way. If you don't have your Dune tickets, you should get your Dune tickets.
October 22nd?
Mm-hmm. It's coming up real soon. And
soon.
When you're buying your tickets and picking your seats, pick showtimes that are in bigger theaters. Don't, like, I'll go to different showtimes, even if it's less convenient for me, and I'll pick the theater. I'm like, ooh, that's a small theater. Ooh, I don't want that one. And, I mean, I probably go to the movies too much where I can look at a picture. I'm like, ooh, that's Theater 3. I don't like that one. Or, Theater 12. Ooh, yeah, Theater 12's the good one. And you just, you gotta know. Theater 1 and 2 at our local AMC, a little bit humid. I don't know if the AC pulls out humidity very well. It always kind of smells a little bit musty, but those are the two original screens. They're the oldest ones in the building. I don't really like them, but it is a big screen and the sound is good. But Theater 12, man, that's the money one. I like Theater 12. For those of you that live in Northwest Arkansas.
I understand being particular about those theaters for sure.
Yeah, Bottle Rocket says our local AMC Theater 7 always has audio issues. Yes, it does. And our Malco always has those ones on the periphery. It's like 13 through 16, and then like 1 and 2 that are like the size of your living room. And I'm like, dude, that's for rentals. Like you don't put an opening day in one of them 30-seaters. Get out of here with that nonsense. Mm-hmm. But yeah, No Time to Die coming out this weekend. Probably going to check it out. Faux show. And we'll talk about it next week. So there you go. Johnny Dalton says the last film I saw at Fiesta Square was Hitman in 2007. Oof. I don't know.
Vince asked if Daniel Craig says he hates playing Bond in every interview. I watched an interview with him the other day that was all about Bond. He didn't say anything about it, but he did mention breaking a lot of bones.
That's what I hear a lot. He's like, it is so physically demanding that it's not fun. He's like, it's it's an iconic role, and I think he's happy to have it. But he's just like, dude, this is killing me.
Yeah. Well, and someone, he was asked a question about like
to die this time.
why is it so long between movies? He's like, oh, because one time I like snapped my entire leg in half and backwards, so we had to wait for my leg to be turned the right direction again, so I could walk on it.
That's even with stuntmen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, it's very physically demanding, some of these roles. The fact that Tom Cruise still does this crap is just unbelievable, man. Yeah. I wish. It's that power of being a level 7 whatever with Scientology.
Yeah, they're like, oh, and for this scene, your character holds his breath for like 27 minutes. He's like, cool, I'll do it. And they're like, no, Tom, we're going to cut the scene. He's like,
no,
I'll do it.
Let me do it.
Yeah.
Let me guybrush this whole scene.
Yeah.
Vince asked, will Top Gun 2 ever come out? Yes, it's coming out in the future.
I think it's next month.
Yeah, it's coming out. I think it's the holiday season when they're wanting to bring that one out. But all right, well, that is what's coming out in theaters this weekend. Let's talk about what is in theaters right now. You wanna go first with the old Addams Family?
Yeah. Why not?
Since I've been talking a bunch.
Yeah. So, new Addams Family animated movie.
It's a sequel to the 2019 one.
Right. Just called Addams Family 2. This time, the family goes on a road trip around the country, and there's the subplots, of course, that there's a lawyer trying to find Wednesday Addams and take her away from the family because they believe that she was switched at birth with another child and want a DNA test done. So Gomez wants to take the family across country.
Road trip.
Yeah,
the classic trope, the classic like family movie trope is a road trip.
Right. So he wants to take her away because she seems to be growing apart from the family, and then this lawyer comes looking for her. So he's trying to make sure that she's seeing that she's part of the family, and a road trip's the way to do it. And of course, shenanigans ensue from that point. There's not a lot to say about this movie, man. I mean, that's really...
Well, did you enjoy the first one?
Yeah, I liked the first one.
Because I liked the first one.
We talked about that on the show.
Quite a bit.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
The origin of the family, showing up, coming to the United States, finding their pink house.
And having kind of a fun, interesting, way of integrating into, how we view the Addamses.
Yeah, take all that away.
Oh, man.
And just put them in a creepy RV. Not even creepy. It's just weird shaped. It's a weird shaped RV. Fester gets turned into a squid. Wednesday is being hunted by an evil Bill Hader, who's a evil scientist and just wants her research for his own purposes.
I saw that Wallace Shawn was listed in the cast. He's the lawyer, because I love Wallace Shawn.
Yeah, he shows up as the lawyer, and his voice is probably the most fun in the movie.
I object, Your Honor.
Yeah. Other than that, everything's just... There's a little bit here and a little bit there. It's like, look at Cousin It. He's also Snoop Dogg. The end. Okay, bye. Look at Grandma. She likes to party, and she's taking over.
Bette Midler.
Is Bette Midler the voice of?
Yeah, Bette Midler's grandma.
Nice. But it's not near. There's nothing fun about this one, like there was the first one. And
because that's what I was worried about. It felt rushed. It's like, how do we?
It did
squeeze another story out of these characters, because the first one did fairly well,
and it doesn't fit. And everything in it is just like a quick joke or like a throwaway type thing, and it's just people being like, "Oh, my nutsack hurts me," kind of a thing, which is like, why?
Getting hit with a football in the ball sack. It just works.
At the end of the movie, Bill Hader and Uncle Fester get turned into kaiju and battle one another because of the DNA swap subplot thing they have going on. But it's not fun. There's nothing there that's entertaining or interesting, and the whole thing is like this really thin plot of this scientist trying to trick Wednesday Addams into thinking he's her father so that she'll give him a research formula that she claimed was a family secret.
So basically the plot of the first Addams Family movie that came out in the 90s, where they tried to convince
Fester
that he was Fester so they could learn the family secret to find where the money was. And turns out he was Fester all along.
And this one, of course, Wednesday was not switched at birth and everything, but they make her think she is so that he can get the family recipe. All so the movie can turn into a kaiju battle.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Why?
Exactly.
Do they adopt it as a pet?
No, it's Fester and Bill Hader.
Fester's you said that he turned into a big squid.
Mm-hmm. And that's it. That's the whole movie. They just drive on the RV. Wednesday splits off on her own, decides to buy into lies, and then the family does nothing, and she does everything, and Fester slaps someone with squid tentacles.
I think the problem with the Addams Family in terms of an animated series and why it was, it loosely worked as a live action thing.
Loosely worked? It definitely.
No, I'm talking about the two movies. Like movies, episodically, the show's great.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was like the TV show is perfect. What are you talking about?
Because it works as a TV show. Mm-hmm. Because, you're in the house, it's a lot of macabre humor. I mean, you just basically make the comic strip. Do boom. This is the punchline of each episode. The comic strip. You got a lot. It's short form, but with long form, the Addams Family. The story is they're fish out of water, and they're weird. They're creepy, kooky, mysterious, and ooky, like the Addams Family. But after you see this on an animated thing, like okay, the town finally accepted them. Where do we go from here? Because they're no longer fish out of water, and stretching the joke gets really awkward in an animated format.
Yeah, well, and Vince says he says he doesn't think about them on vacation. They need to entertain themselves in the creepy house. Yeah, I mean that's all part of it. The house is a character. In the
absolutely,
show, just like Munsters type thing too. And their house is a museum. People come to see them. Yeah.
You really ought to screen them.
Yeah. That's part of it. And the whole thing of them out and about around in the world, there wasn't enough of that, like, oh, look how creepy the Addams Family are compared to the other people, and it's fun that way. It was more, hey, look at what Wednesday is doing, and it's very, very, very Wednesday heavy, but not Addams Family, and it's not. I mean, there's nothing. Everything that was enjoyable and fun about the first one, it was like, look at all of these people totally out of place, but. They're weird, and that's the whole thing.
And gaining the town's approval. I mean, that's the thing where.
And this whole movie is that like Wednesday felt weird and different from the family, but part of being an Addams is that they're all different. Oh yeah, no shit. Like, come on, yeah. But
Johnny Dalton said props for quoting the Addams Family rap, and I just thought that because he said that, I should just go ahead and say they do what they want to do, say what they want to say, live how they want to live, play how they want to play. That's what. No. Do what they want to do, say what they want to say, live how they want to live, play how they want to play. That's what they mean for the Addams Family.
Yeah. Well, in this movie, you get to hear Christina Aguilera go full ham on the Addams Family theme song, and it's awful. Because she does that like Christina Aguilera fucking, and you're like,
how's that go again?
Yeah, you know how it goes. But it's pretty terrible because at the end of the movie I was like, who the hell is this doing that to the Addams theme? And it's like Christina Aguilera.
Of course it is. Well,
but not much to really be seen. Man, I really wanted it to be fun because I liked the first one. I like the Addams Family comics. I like the 60s TV show. I like the old 90s movies.
Yeah, the 90s movies are good.
But not this so much. So
well, it's in theaters right now. You can check it out if you want to, or you could just do yourself a favor and watch Addams Family and Addams Family Values and the animated Addams Family on streaming or in your DVD collection, wherever you get
the animated show from the 90s was super good.
Those are good. Those are good ones. So there you go. It is out in theaters. You can check it out if you feel like it. You can bring the family to it. You can do all those kind of things. So there you go. Also out in theaters, the one that I got to go see is the new Venom film. Venom, Let There Be Carnage, the sequel to the 2018 Venom film. This one reprising the role, Tom Hardy being a weird, quirky, schizophrenic Eddie Brock, but then adding this time, a little bit of Woody Harrelson and a Naomi Harris as, Woody Harrelson's love interest, who also has banshee powers, and which is a really awkward mix for two symbiotes who can't handle loud noises. Of course, calamity ensues. Okay, this movie, I both really enjoy it and really dislike it all at the same time, and it's kind of a strange thing with these Venom movies, because growing up, Venom was one of my favorite characters. I loved Venom. I loved the storyline with the black suit Spider-Man, and then the reveal that it's an evil symbiote, and then you get way on into the super nerdy Clintar race of symbiotes and all this kind of nerdy crap, but they do make some funny little references to Venom, to Lethal Protector, which is Lethal Protector was the first small series comic run where Venom actually becomes a standalone character, the hero of the comic, and becomes an anti-hero, where he makes a deal with Spider-Man and all this kind of stuff. And it's interesting that they keep dropping those little like Lethal Protector nuggets in the movie, because I feel like after watching this movie and seeing the end clip, which was the most impactful clip of the movie, was after the credits, where it introduces Spider-Man into the Venomverse. So Spider-Man's on the TV, and Venom is like, "Oh, that guy," and so you get this like, okay, it is acknowledged that Spider-Man is in this universe that Venom exists in, except for it also kind of makes you wonder if they're thinking that Venom, he was trying to connect with Eddie Brock and do this thing that symbiotes can do, but he's like, I didn't do this, and like this big shockwave happened, which is probably when Doctor Strange reset time or whatever, and then he's on the TV, and it's like Joe Jonah Jameson being like, oh, Spider-Man's a bad guy, and the clip that we saw at the end of the last movie, and it's like, oh, wait a minute, and which is really interesting, because Venom is not owned by Marvel or the MCU, Disney. It's owned by Sony, and Sony is of course trying to do this whole thing with the Sinister Six. You've got Morbius coming up, and you got all this stuff. But Venom, this movie is just a buddy comedy. It is just a ridiculous, rowdy, reckless '90s buddy comedy, and there's a lot of physical humor. The plot of this movie hasn't. The pacing of the schizophrenia of your main character, like you have no idea why anything's happening. It's just happening, and you just kind of follow along for the ride. And the first 20 or 30 minutes of this movie, you're just like, what the hell am I watching? And then it finally kind of gets into this little groove, and it's fun. The character of Venom, he has a bit of I guess what I'm going to call like Bane syndrome from the Christopher Nolan Batman movies, where it's like, and you're like, what did he just say? Can I get subtitles here? And you have a really difficult time hearing him, and there's all these just constant, inserted dialogue, and you don't see Venom physically because it's in his mind, but there's just too much of it going on. And I don't know if they're trying to like make you feel schizophrenic like the main character or not, but it just kind of felt awkward and uncomfortable for a lot of the movie. But it's fun. It basically, this movie just explores them, breaking up and becoming friends and solidifying their relationship as a symbiotic relationship, as an anti-hero, because Venom still wants to kill people and eat brains, but he also still wants to be a hero and all this kind of stuff, yada yada yada. But it is a sequel to the first one. That's what it is. It doesn't do any more than the first one did. It feels very much like the first one, except for Carnage is a very well-known symbiote in Spider-Man and Venom lore. But it's almost the same plot as the first movie. It's like, oh, here's another bad symbiote. We got to go get him with sound and fire. And except for Woody Harrelson is being Woody Harrelson, and Woody Harrelson is really good at playing a psychopath. He's naturally born for it. I
see what you did there.
Yeah, there we go. References, we got them. But you know, I mean, this movie felt like a late '90s comic book movie, and that's praise in a way, because some of those '90s comic book movies, revisiting them is a lot more fun than I thought
Captain
it would
America?
be. Maybe not so much. I'm thinking more
Or
like
the Nick Fury?
thinking more like Spawn and that era of weird comic book movies that
Mystery Men?
Mystery Men.
The Mask?
Yeah, The Mask. Yes, that's you're thinking where I'm thinking. You're picking up what I'm putting down. But I don't know how they're going to try and introduce this character into the MCU, and I know they want to. I know they want to make you think that all of this stuff is intentional and they're planning out this most elaborate interconnected web of movies ever made. But no, they're just trying to figure out how to tie it all together and take your money, so that when the next one comes out, you're pre-programmed to go see it no matter what, because you feel like it's a sequel to this series that you really want to be invested in. Because they learned a long time ago, individual characters are hard to sell. But when you tie it into it all ties into Iron Man, and everybody liked Iron Man. And so they're like, well, it's all sequels to Iron Man, so you should go see it. And people are like, yeah, MCU, I love MCU. And they're like, well, this thing that you probably won't like is MCU. And they're like, well, I can't not like MCU. I gotta see it. And they've got you. So that's...
Johnny says he wants to go back and play Maximum Carnage. Yeah.
Yeah, the Sega Genesis game?
Super Nintendo.
I played it
either
on
way.
Sega Genesis, yeah.
Same gen. Do that. That's a fun game. Vince clipped me going full ham, apparently.
Oh, I knew a clip was coming out of that one.
You want to talk about things that are fun to watch and go through. He said he went through and watched all of the clips. So if you're watching us on Twitch, go over to the little clips tab after the show. And watch all of those and see the insanity that is the two of us taken out of context.
Mm-hmm.
Make you feel like, yeah, you're crazy, like you got Carnage in your brain too.
He was the more sane one, actually, because that's what I don't like about the Eddie Brock Venom relationship. Is Eddie Brock is just so... I don't know how any normal human that he interacts with on a daily basis wouldn't just immediately tie him up and put him in jail, because his hair's always messed up and he's like going, shut up, I'm not going to talk to you, I won't eat chicken and chocolate, we can't eat his brain. And people are like, what's wrong with you? Oh, nothing, just going to work. And they're like, okay, Eddie Brock, what a weird guy.
Thanks, famous photojournalist Eddie Brock.
Yeah, and it's just like he's just a little too neurotic, but it's to me it's Venom, and I get to see Venom, and I like Venom, even though this isn't my perfect Venom.
If Venom recognizes Spider-Man, does that mean that he gets to change and he gets white spots on the back of his hands and
to have the
real cool spider on his chest?
Yeah, because he maybe okay, here's the Bostradamus prediction of where they're going to take Venom.
He's going to start launching black webs and stuff instead of tentacles.
Well, because they're setting up the fact that Venom wants to be a hero, that he likes praise and adoration. He's very narcissistic.
Boy.
Yeah, and he's like, man, I want people to think I'm cool. There's a scene where he's at this party. It's like a masquerade party, and he's out, and everyone's like, cool costume. And he's like, thanks, and he's kind of getting really excited about people liking him, and he's like, okay, cool, yeah, we should be able to be ourselves and blah, blah, blah. And, and then I think that what's going to happen is, since they've been mentioning, they made a joke, he's like, with Eddie Brock, he's like, we should just call ourselves the Lethal Protectors, and which is a reference to the comic series when he becomes a hero and fights alongside Spider-Man, because Spider-Man comes to stop him, thinking that I can't remember what character that Venom's trying to take out, but Spider-Man thinks it's Venom, and then misunderstandings come, and Spider-Man's, look, you can't commit any crimes, and I'll leave you alone. But something happens and they have to fight together. So they don't have the storyline of the symbiote suit yet, but I think he's going to try and emulate Spider-Man because he thinks he's cool. And so
shooting the webs.
start shooting webs
fists.
and be like, yeah, let's be like that, and I think they're going to try and tie it in that way.
Because talking about the Maximum Carnage video game, when it gives you the option, it's like, do you want to be Spider-Man or Venom? And I think you can play as Carnage too. I'm like, of course I'm Venom, dude. Who wants to play as Spoder Boy? Nobody. Get that out of here.
No.
Clearly,
Venom
I'm going to be
always.
Venom. Yeah.
I mean, Carnage was kind of neat because he just acts everybody, but Venom's the dude. Venom is the dude. I wish I'd gotten my Venom action figure
Punch
from that.
webs.
Yeah, he's big and strong.
Cool.
He's got that tongue. He's and he's funny. That's the thing about Venom is as he evolves in the character evolves in the comics. He's actually really funny, and I highly recommend Venom comics. Like if you're trying to get into some Spider-Man comics, skip Spider-Man, go straight to Venom. Pretty fun stuff. And Johnny says, please let Venom eat Hawkeye. And I'd be down for that. I would love watching Jeremy Renner get scarfed up by Venom.
Well, now that they're doing the what ifs, I guess they could do that thing Marvel did a couple years ago, where the entire MCU became, or not MCU, but the entire Marvel universe became Venoms. Mm-hmm. All of the heroes were Venoms.
Yeah, because there was a whole bunch of symbiote spinoffs. But anyway, you can go check out that movie. It's in theaters right now. And if you saw the first one and thought it was fun, then you'll probably like this one too, because it's second verse, same as the first, in theaters right now. And
opposite of Addams Family, where they took all the fun stuff out of it. Yeah,
that's not how you do a good sequel. Let's speaking of movies that are in theaters, let's end this thing with the box office roundup. Let's I don't want to go through all of them because there's a lot of just super limited release movies that are in the top 10 that did relatively well, but we'll just go through the top 5 in theaters as we do, and then end this thing. So number 1, we'll start with number 1. Well, I mean, we know what it is. Venom Let There Be Carnage opening up this week at the number 1 spot with a $90 million opening. Whoa, that's a big opening for still technically COVID era in terms of theatrical attendance, and B, he's not part of the Disney MCU. It's way better than the G.I. Joe movie opened at, or I think it's even better than Jungle Cruise opened at, because Jungle Cruise has still only made $116 million total at the box office, and Venom pretty much took that out almost this weekend. And Jungle Cruise has been out for 10 weeks. So you want to talk about a character that's getting some momentum. Here you go. So, brought in $90 million in its opening weekend. Sony, I think, very happy. And I think Sony also getting excited about another big bargaining chip that they can bring to the table when negotiating with Disney. Because Disney's going to want him. Because Disney wants Spider-Man real bad, because Spider-Man's the only character that can replace Iron Man.
I'm telling you, without Iron Man and Captain America and stuff, it's just not going to work. No matter what they tried, you can't have it without the big boys.
You can't, but they're going to try. Number 2, Addams Family 2, taking the number 2 position with a significantly lower take. It brought in $17.3 million at the box office for United Arts. So, wow, that is a... 8, 12, 16, 20, yeah, that's like 1/5 the amount of what Venom took, and that was the number 2 spot. Number 3, Legend of the Ten Rings coming in with $6.1 million, bringing its total domestic gross up to $206 million in its 5 weekends in release. So doing pretty well there for itself. Number 4, The Many Saints of Newark, which I didn't think was getting a nationwide release, but it did, and it brought in $5 million for Warner Brothers. But I think, didn't this one also go out on streaming, or is it doing a theatrical exclusive? I don't.
Being that it's HBO, I imagine it's probably
HBO.
On Max.
I figured it was.
Because being Sopranos, where do people watch Sopranos?
HBO.
So.
Number 5, Dear Evan Hansen, in its second week in release, dropping to number 5 spot, bringing in $2.4 million. So far, bringing in $11.8 million at the box office. Number 6, Free Guy, bringing in 2.2. Number 7, Candyman, bringing in 1.2. And then number 8, Jungle Cruise, bringing in just under $1 million at $703,000.
Now, I know you said you didn't want to mention the super limited release, but only in 90 theaters.
It did make a lot per theater.
Number 9 is Chalmera Put 3. Vince asked for Jake's foreign film roundup. Well, look at this. We got a foreign film in theaters. If one of our local theaters happens to be one of those 90, I will see if I can find it.
Well, the interesting thing about
I like Indian movies. You guys know that.
The interesting thing about this statistic is, with only 90 theaters making it to the number 9 spot, it averaged more per theater than the Addams Family did. So the Addams Family averaged about $4,000 per screen per show. This one averaged $7,000 per theater. So that's pretty good numbers. It means they're all sold out.
Yeah, more per screen than every movie in the top 10 except for Venom.
Except Venom. Yeah. Almost combined.
People like foreign films, man. Especially we remember Bo's foreign films from last week.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. We do like them foreign films. And speaking of films and limited release films, I know we only have a few minutes left, but I got a chance to catch I didn't get to see the whole double feature, but I got to watch the original Universal Studios 1930s Dracula. Very cool. Bela Lugosi on the silver screen. Never thought I'd ever have a chance to see it, and I only caught the first bit of Frankenstein, and I was like, okay, I know I don't have time to sit here, but I'm gonna stay till at least it's alive. And then he's like, and they restrain him, and my God, those movies still being 90 years old hold up in a theater, man. I mean,
nice.
There's no music, which is kind of the most jarring thing to kind of get used to seeing in a screen in a theater where there's no music. You just get the of like the ambient audio and the dialogue and the Foley art. But the performances are good. I mean, obviously the special effects are 90 freaking years old, but even then they're cool. It's still fun and it's still cool.
Well, there was a time where the movie theaters were accompanied by a live orchestra that would sit there and play in the pit in the front of the theater. So yeah, think about that. Vince pointed out that he used his points to put shades on the foreign film emote, so that's super rad.
Oh yeah, cool. I can kind of make it out from here. I mean,
I see it.
It's way over there on our screen. But and then that's a really interesting point. Is if I had gotten to see that with an orchestra pit in the theater in the 30s, like, no wonder these movies are so remembered 90 years and still celebrated as if they are, as iconic as they ever were. It was just such a fun, wild experience seeing it on a screen that big, and just getting to soak it in and just really truly see the craftsmanship that went into those things back in the Universal days. And we still have Invisible Man and Wolfman coming out the 28th or 9th?
Sometime this month. Check Fathom events. Dina said she's planning on checking that one out.
Yeah, I really want to, but Nightmare on Block Street has shown me that I will not have time to do anything on the weekends, because Nightmare on Block Street is officially going on. We had our first opening weekend this weekend, and man, everybody is having a great time. It has been such a fun success. So if you want a really good Halloween experience and you live here in Fayetteville, Arkansas, or in the surrounding areas, make a trip. We open every day except Mondays, 5 to close. And right now we're doing the ticketed seance events. Our first shows of that are going on as we speak. So I'm gonna roll out and catch up with the gang there and make sure everything's going smoothly. But it's been a lot of fun.
Dina pointed out that next double feature of Wolfman and Invisible Man's on the 30th. That's bad news, because that's Saturday. Halloween is on Sunday, so Saturday is the day everyone's going to be out
rowdy,
doing their thing. So yeah, I doubt there's any way that much of anybody's really going to get to watch that one unless you're just hardcore about wanting to watch the movie. So.
I just, I wish Fathom Events would take kind of that stuff into consideration, like people that love Halloween are probably, and love these movies and would love to see these movies on a screen, are probably doing something else on, or watching the Joe Bob's Halloween lineup this month. Oh my God.
They do a lot of daytime showings for Fathom Events, so it might be one of those like
a 1 o'clock. That's when I I got
2
to
or
see
4 o'clock.
Yeah, I saw Dracula at 1 o'clock, and
Which, if you have the time, would be great to like go in Saturday, hit the double feature, come out. It's starting to get nighttime, and then hit up do Halloween.
I want to see Wolfman. I want to see it so bad. I love The Invisible Man. I really, really do. One of my favorites. I've dressed up as him before. But my God, if I could see Lon Chaney's Wolfman on screen, just, oh my God, it'd be awesome. Actually, what am I talking about? Lon Chaney. It's not him. It was the other guy. But Claude Rains. No, he was Invisible Man. Gosh, whatever. I'm just pumped. I want to see it. So Vince says, I don't like how Riff Tracks is the only one day now instead of 2 Tuesdays when it can't go. Yeah, it's the scheduling's always a mess.
Fathom events are difficult to watch sometimes, but if you get the chance, they have a lot of really, really good movies. This weekend was Spirited Away, and there may still be another showing or two. Sometimes they do those on Mondays and Wednesdays. Look and see if you get a chance to watch Spirited Away. That's all about yokai and ghosts and spirits and creepy, spooky things.
One more thing about the Universal movies, if you're saying I don't want to sit through a double feature, those movies are only 1 hour long, so it's
they're 100-year-old movies.
It's the same as it's actually shorter than watching the last Avengers. So don't think like double feature, good grief.
Right.
So, all right, guys. Well, we're out of time. We got to get out of here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Always fun to see you guys, and we'll be back next week, probably talking about Bond.
Not your doggy. Next week, I'll be gone from the show.
Oh.
I will be out of state.
You don't leave the state.
Yeah, turns out I do. Hitting up
I bet this is not your idea.
You're correct. However, I'll be watching a super sick drift competition. So doing Fast and Furious cool boy things.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, I'll be here talking about 007, so you could tune in for the Solo Boom Op, chatting about movies. But don't forget to like and subscribe. We're on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. Facebook, of course, was down tonight. You can always subscribe to the audio version of this anywhere you get your podcasts. Just search it for Spotify, or you can tell your smart speaker to play the Drive-in Speakerbox podcast. You got to throw in podcast there, apparently. So Vince says guest co-host. Actually, yeah, that might be a really good opportunity to bring in Bottle Rocket if he's looking. Tyler and Levi that filmed helped them with their short film on. I was thinking about bringing them in, and we got 2 seats here. I found these extra seats, and I figured there's 3 of us, maybe. That's Fezzik, and it was a really bad Fezzik. Sorry.
You know what that reminds me of? That voice. I need to watch the new episode of What We Do in the Shadows, which is going on. So if you like creepy things, that's fun to watch.
Jackie Daytona.
Yeah. Season 3 is going on right now, but go back to season 2, watch the Jackie Daytona episode. Human Bartender, so good.
This new season is hysterical. Like, are you caught up with it?
No, I need to watch the episode from last week still.
Have you watched season 3?
I've watched everything except for last week.
So the episode where Nandor's trying to flirt with the chick at the gym.
Yes.
And, oh, my gosh.
With the cloak of duplication.
Cloak of duplication. Yeah,
Nandor's my favorite.
Oh, Nandor's so great. That show is so great. And if you're not watching What We Do in the Shadows this October, you got to do it. So next week, expect a lot of Halloween recommendations, possibly some guest co-hosts, and reviews of 007. So anywhere. We will catch you on the flip side. Thanks for tuning in. I, of course, am Bo, the boom operator.
And I'm Slick Doggy, the grip.
Yeah, and we'll see you guys next week.